Welcome to episode 10 of the Self Trust Frequency podcast. Thank you so much for being here. Today, we're going to talk about distress, suffering, pain, the things that hit us all as humans at different points in our life, some of us more than others. So, on the human level, we just don't like it when things go wrong. We get scared, we go into fight, flight, freeze in the nervous system. We find it distressing, inconvenient, no matter what it is, whether it's something with our career, with our family, our children, our bodies, our physical health, our mental health, our parents. There's just so many ways we can suffer as humans. And I want to take a step broader so that we can look at this from the soul perspective. So let's journey to the spirit world for a few minutes and see it from this perspective. In the spirit world, where our souls go to rejuvenate between lives, our original home, it's a place that doesn't have suffering. It's a very high frequency place with high frequency emotions, and there isn't distress or pain. And so the way souls learn when they're sent to earth is through having to live in this body, in this 3D density, where there is a lot of more like lower vibrational things in our environment, in our emotional field, in our interconnectedness. There are a lot of ways we can suffer in this 3D density and living in a world that has disharmony, which isn't the case in the spirit world. And so, as a human, in our human body, living our lives, this is just incredibly freaking inconvenient, right? It's painful. There's suffering, there's trauma, there's bad memories, there's, the fact that our human bodies can be fragile, that we can lose loved ones, and all of these really difficult things that exist here on earth, including lots of low vibrational energy. They're also in balance with all of the most gorgeous things here on earth that exist on the same time. So, earth is this really complex place, and the spirit world knows that. So, when you selected your life, yes, your life you're in right now, you were a soul with your guides or ascended masters looking down the timeline of maybe three different lives and thinking about which life is going to give your soul the biggest opportunity for growth. So there's beginner souls, intermediate souls, advanced souls. So when your soul chooses the life you incarnate in, you're choosing those lessons because it's going to make your soul dig so deep and learn exactly the lessons that are appropriate for the level and the lessons that you're at that time. And your guides are there fully on board, knowing what you're taking on, and they've been with you since birth. And so that's why I always recommend spirit guide meditations to people. So it's interesting to be on a spiritual path and start to see things from this perspective, especially from a spirit world perspective. So we can think of our lives from our, eyeballs looking out into the 3D world in our earth self and think about the good, the bad, the beautiful, the ugly in our lives. But from a soul perspective, we chose this life for all of these highs and lows because this particular coordination of events and circumstances our soul knew would allow it to grow the most. And as a side note, I've been on the spiritual path with a lot of women who are waking up and beginning their journey and seeing their path with them. And one of the interesting things is it seems like as people approach middle age, they start reconnecting with that soul self because the soul self is more powerful than all the conditioning we've received here on earth. So when you chose your life right now, you chose this constellation of problems, the good and the bad, if we are going to put labels on things. So think about kind of the worst things happening in your life right now. What's the thing that really weighs you down? That is your portal to healing, unfortunately. So the thing that is the most difficult for you is a lesson your soul chose because it knew that difficulty would provide the exact medicine for your soul to dig deeper, to become more advanced, to understand humanity and all of the experiences of the universe even more. So, if we can detach from this, wheel of fortune, this ups and downs, and take a look from observer mind, almost like our spirit guide's perspective from the spirit world, you can see how much suffering has changed who you are. It's made you a deeper person, a more compassionate person, a more loving person. In some cases, it does feel like it's broken us, but I want you to think about the most difficult thing you're going through and think about the fact your soul signed up for this. So, that is a wonderful question to go into spirit guide meditations and ask, why did I pick this journey? What am I here to learn? And usually there is some intuitive information that can come through. And what I have found for myself, because mine has manifested as physical pain and injuries, that's been a cycle I've gone through over and over, is every time the cycle happens again and I'm in despair, it's like I'm being asked to go through that experience with more wisdom and more detachment, more equanimity, more, compassion for others. It's like the deeper we meet ourselves, the deeper we can meet other people. It really has broken open my heart in terms of compassion for literally anyone going through any type of suffering. So I will sit with you in whatever type of suffering you're going through. And before my pain issues started, I didn't have that presence. I didn't have that interest. So I'm going to keep this really short to this week and just leave it as a, pause it to you, an open question that you can explore in prayer, in your meditation, in your spirit guide practice. Maybe start developing your guide practice if you haven't already. Thinking about the cycles in your life where you find difficulty and maybe journaling or asking for help in any way you can spiritually. Why do you think your soul chose this cycle? What are you meant to learn from it? And perhaps how can you face it differently so that it's a lightened burden on your soul. So as we go through these sufferings, it's like we can gain this wisdom that the human body, the human experience isn't always in full crisis all the time. Things will pass and things will heal. We may have been born into really difficult familial dynamics. And the interesting thing that people say in near death experiences and past life regressions is that you will reincarnate with a soul family and people take on different roles in different lifetimes so they can learn different lessons, always flip-flopping parents, spouses, children, so that, if someone's a perpetrator of something in one life, they're the victim in the next life. So everyone is growing together. So it's this like cosmic play for soul growth. But Earth also has so much beauty too, right? It comes along with it. It's part of the package. So this is just something that I wanted to share because of my spiritual journey and my relationship with chronic pain and feeling like my body kind of can betray me at different points. I'm trying to I guess I've found this perspective comforting. So instead of just like, why am I suffering? Like, why is this happening to me? It's like, why did I choose this? Like, why did my soul choose this? Like, how am I meant to do this better? And the thing I find motivating is that when you choose this life, you get to choose how much your soul grows in a lifetime. And maybe if you don't quite learn a lesson in that lifetime, you will, you know, have an aspect of that lesson again in the next lifetime. So there's an aspect of radical acceptance, but also getting out of victimhood and being practical, being in problem solving, always keeping your community going, asking for support. It's like there are so many ways to help shift out of suffering because of the wisdom of humanity and all the souls here, all the healers, all of the experiences people have had before you. So I think we realize that suffering is so universal and that it ebbs and flows. And so there's different perspective taking you can have. And of course, I always recommend therapy to my clients in conjunction with meditation and spiritual work and energy work. I think that that really helps our brain and emotional body process what's happened to us, as well as feeling like this belief and this reliance on a higher power also helps give some meaning and perspective and almost puts it in its place like, oh, this is very temporary. I'm not saying anything is easy. Being a human in Earth school, incarnating here is one of the most difficult places. That's what spirits, when people are in past life regressions, that's what they say about the spirit world. From the spirit world, they say Earth is one of the most difficult places to incarnate. So you're in one of the most difficult places because of the lessons are so hard. And I think I'm just curious. Feel free to leave a comment. I don't mean to make light of what anyone's going through because some of us are going through great tragedies and some of us have light annoyances. But either way, I'm just curious. So you can comment for me if you just take on the perspective of the fact that your soul chose this life for a particular lesson or reason. It's like it took it on as a mission. What meaning does that give it? Does that give the cycle of suffering that you're in a slightly different perspective and maybe give you a greater feeling of purpose? It's like radical acceptance and purpose paired. And this is a really beautiful concept in Buddhism. And I learned this as I got deep into Buddhist meditation and retreats. Is a core part of Buddhism is that being human, there's dukkha, which is suffering. And it's really like all types of suffering, every type of suffering that one could imagine. And in your meditation practice, you're invited to offer Karuna, which is compassion. So you feel the suffering, you openly feel it while at the same time offering it Karuna, this beautiful, beautiful compassion. And gosh, I've cried doing meditations like that. And this is also where loving kindness meditations come from. It's like sending that compassion to not just your dukkha, but to the suffering, the dukkha of all humanity. It's this true, true compassionate heart. And in Buddhism, you're invited to practice cultivating observer mind. So, not just the self that identifies with the story and the suffering, but another part of yourself that can watch it happening with equanimity and compassion and be able to almost begin to associate more with observer mind, this peaceful observer that's seeing the big picture of everything happening, all the threads of the situation, as opposed to the freaked out human who is purely feeling the suffering. So, none of this is easy. And I believe that religions and spirituality exist and have formed to explain the human condition on earth and connect with a higher power to help us live through it and give everything deeper meaning and purpose. So, whatever you're going through, I send you a lot of compassion. I invite you to maybe feel into the suffering a little bit and also identify the self that can give compassion and that self that is observing it and seeing the bigger picture, seeing the soul perspective, and maybe doing a little inner reflection on, what is this cycle trying to teach me? If I was to take my perspective and not be so hung up on the suffering and the circumstances of the situation, what am I learning from this? And sometimes we may not know that until we have hindsight. I have a spirit guide meditation posted on my channels, and I recommend that you use that or any spirit guide meditation and go to the spirit world in the meditation, connect with a guide, and maybe start asking them about this cycle. You can also do these meditations where instead of the spirit guide, you call forth an ascended master, the people who are, or the spirits who are really in charge of the masters of your soul evolution, your sacred ones, your great teachers. So thanks so much for listening. My heart goes out to you. I'm Suzanne. I'm a Reiki master in Texas. I do chakras, meditation, and tarot, and I like to bring people into their soul self, their soul recognition, helping them live from there, giving them permission to be completely themselves, explore their own version of spirituality. And I do virtual and in person sessions. And I drop this podcast every Thursday on YouTube and Apple Music and Spotify. Okay, take care.